continuing with building this magical code, kind of like the code of Bushido is like a warrior's code, a code of conduct to live by. And samurai were like upper class warriors, um, guarding and protecting royal family and government, all that kind of stuff. And so I'm sure there were certain levels and certain classes within that. But there's a code of conduct, like even like with the Civil War and those wars. Um, they would line up with their bayonets and they would fire. And then if you were hiding in the trees and you fought dirty, even though you won, it was seen as really low class and shocking. It's like when you're in the boxing ring, there's rules, and when you're in the street, there's no rules. And so, uh, there is, we naturally have a sense of conduct. And when we don't have that sense of conduct, we end up living with the consequences. Uh, I had a conversation with this guy, and we were talking about our shadow sides, and like how low would we go? Would we like kill for our family member? Would we kill out of love? Would we kill to save someone? Would we kill out of revenge? And then we were talking about this, and he made a really important point. He goes, it doesn't matter what it's for. The real question is, you're not gonna forget that. You're gonna take that experience with you forever. Even if you learn to forgive yourself and others and whatever, can you live with that on your conscience? And I was like, ooh, good point. Maybe I'm going to retire this no limits into the dark side. Maybe I'm going to actually set boundaries for myself. What can I actually live with, knowing the harm that I can do? It's not hard to really harm people with magic. And when you're young, you're going to have to go through that phase. Like Aleister Crowley, book 4, I'm just saying, it is like, it is the Emerald Tablets for the modern wizard. And if you truly understand magic, you can read that book, I wouldn't say again and again repeatedly, but maybe a few times. Come back to it. And then you'll understand the wisdom that is put in there very well. Um, Gosh, kind of went off on a tangent there. Let's see. Living with the consequence. Oh, yes, black magic. Everything that we do for ourselves is technically black magic, according to the most sinister 20th century wizard, Aleister Crowley. He was a notorious, mischievous wizard who got a bad rap. Um, he himself said it. So it doesn't matter if you're praying to God, if you're praying to an angel to wish harm on your neighbor, to take revenge in the name of God, it's still evil. Just because you stamped it with the name of God didn't. Your own personal desire is selfish, probably full of ego, and you need to know that. So I also feel like there's this testing phase. Prove to me that magic is real. Get my boyfriend back. Prove to me. Prove to me. You know? And so know that, yeah, when you really look at it, you've probably done some black magic and it's okay. Because we all go through that phase. And so I remember one time I spoke this other language. I spoke a magical language and dropped a bird out of the sky. Like it was flying, and boom. It pretty much dropped and was dying in front of my feet. And then I had to re speak the magical language in reverse because I was like, oh God, I really don't want to harm this animal. I was just testing out this magical language to see if it would work. And I was killing my test subject. That's not me. Oh my gosh. And so then I hurried and reversed it. And the bird lived, it gagged and it got up and started walking around and then it flew off. And I was like, that was too easy. So another time I was feeling very connected to the underworld and possibly some demonic forces. And I was like, do I need to sacrifice a dove to summon a demon? Do I need to sacrifice something? And I was like, can't the demons just do it themselves or do it for me? And a bird hits a car because I'm walking down the street, hits right into the side of the car and flops around dead in front of me. And I was like, you gotta learn to control your thoughts. You got to, okay, so that was like the testing prove it phase. Tell me that demons are real. Tell me that those magical words that can actually drop someone. If you're disciplined enough and you're focused enough and you have a little talent, yes. There's a lot of, I've done a lot of mischievous things. I would love to tell you lots and lots of stories. But in the end, the person who has to live with those consequences is me. And so let's move on. Here's a little bit about some magical notes on this code. And let's look at some of these. So this is a drawing of some stuff. Art. It's weird. Magic and religion kind of bleed a little bit, but then they don't. Within magical culture, we believe there's gods that you can summon and contact, possibly angels and things like that as well. And you can work with familiar spirits, ancestors, and all this stuff. So a lot of people connect with gods. As a chaos wizard, I have made contact with one of the unknown gods, an unnamed god, and given him, we'll just call him O, because that's part of his name. But O is like a primordial ancient god. And I've been working on this relationship with this god for probably, I would assume 10 years, but it's probably about 8 years, But this god has shown up through myth and archetypes, and there's a lot of parallels after when I wrote it all out. So we wrote some pages out about this god that I connect with, I go to often to receive counsel and wisdom. Definition of a wizard: someone who can connect with an alternate reality and bring information back. So I would say artists, writers, musicians, we're all wizards of some type. Doesn't matter how you express it. So anyways, hanging out with this unnamed, a nameless god, the nameless ones, and knowing that I align with that, I take on qualities of that. So your magical self is kind of the embodiment of a character. It's like you with no limits. It's you at maximum power. And then you have your everyday mundane self that goes to work and does normal things. And usually in a magical ritual, you kind of become your magical self or something in between. So you alter your self. So you're, and so I was really, as I was writing this out, why do I need to include this unnamed God into my magical code of ethics and behaviors and rules and everything of the wizard? Is because if that's what I'm connected to, then maybe the personality, the energy of that is going to be expressed through every magical action. So that would include protection, it would include defense, retaliation, warfare, whatever it would be. It kind of needs the stamp of approval if this is the type of magic I'm doing. Am I going to enlist this god? Is it going to assist me or not assist me? Is he going to be like, I'm standing out on this one, you do it on your own? Maybe, because maybe we're not in alignment. So maybe I should consider the type of deity I work with. Unfortunately, this deity is a destruction god. So it would probably be pretty much a good idea when I'm thinking about defending and warfare to include this type of god in the magical work. Being aligned, channeling that energy. And I have to think about his personality. And so, and he's a god of wisdom and destruction. So you would think, and so this is another thing. We tend to polarize destructive forces. Things that, like, chaos doesn't bring order. Chaos brings order. Order brings chaos. Death brings life. Life brings death. The yin and yang symbol. So this destruction god is a life god. Parallels Osiris. So we could use Osiris as a more relatable manifestation of this unnamed god that I work with. So talk about going beyond the limits of most books. And you have to do that. But anyways, what type of warfare would Osiris be doing? There's not a lot of him battling it out, is there? So maybe that's not really my forte. It was at a time, but I'm moving into a whole new energy. I'm a new me. So I find with me and this unnamed god, what we choose to do for tactical strategies is a lot of fall back, a lot of observe, a lot of let's take a note and remember that and never do that again. And so there's wisdom, there's a learning in every battle. I learn, does it improve me? Is the battle worthy of me? So those are some of the things to consider when you're creating your code of conduct. If you work with a deity, then consider their personality and adopt some of those qualities, and your magical ability will be clarified and improved. You'll strengthen your power. So I have a friend, and I believe Morgan Le Fay is totally like working with her. Morgan Le Fay, besides being the queen of the fairies, is also a war god and a death god. And so it might be very, and she's also very feminine. So the goddess. And so I feel like with everything that my friend is into, Morgan's energy could just encourage, will just magnify her own natural abilities. So I feel like they're already in the same stream, current. And so, if anything, when she adds Morgan to her own code of ethics and to her own spell work for words, sigils, whatever it is, whatever she's doing in her magical ways, it's just going to give a little extra punch because their energies are so similar, anyways. Moving on. Part of this code of conduct, we also have our own philosophy, our own axioms and maxims. So here's one of mine that could get you started. Axiom number 1, it's all a lie. Humans are liars by nature. Everything is a lie because everything out of their mouth is a lie. So interesting, huh? Because out of these axioms and maxims were values, were principles, was my observation and truth for me. And so, knowing that people are liars and the world is lies and humans love lies, then do I really need to be, oh my God, he lied to me. My boyfriend lied. I'm gonna like hex him now. No. Most people are liars. They have no integrity and they have no direction to have that integrity. So, I can now be like, all right, lying is not such a big deal as it was when I thought it was. I've changed. Lies aren't such a big deal if everyone's a liar. So we're looking for, a lot of people just need a motive. Like I love it when people say, hit me, just give me a reason. Hit me, just give me a reason. I'm like, why? Give yourself a reason and just fight. If you want to fight, fight. If you don't want to fight, some people need a reason. So they need a code of conduct, to hold back so they can not be shocked. But anyways, I'm kind of dismantling my reasons, my own psychology. I'm breaking it down to move into greater magic. Axiom number 2, we are always right. Most people are fighting because they think they're right, or they need to be right, or they need to right an injustice. So they were brought down a peg or two, and now they need to fight to bring themselves up a peg or two. And so that's a huge reason why people fight. If I don't care, if I understand this, then when people are like getting all aggressive, which humans have a tendency to do, I can just be like, oh, axiom number 2. People are always right. They need to right or wrong, and they need to make things right. Principle of the matter, they need to even the playing field. That's making it right. You wounded me emotionally, so now I'm going to psychologically abuse you, or I'm going to magically attack you. Once again, people don't like to hear the word no, because that means they're wrong. So I got in a huge witch war with this mega bitch. Because we didn't see things the same way. Aries, Capricorn moon, she was. I'm Aries, Pisces moon. Sorry. All her fighting didn't make it right. We both needed to be right. We went the rounds. And then I had the ability to let it go. Forgive. I go, okay, humans are liars. Humans need to be right. So I don't need to get stuck in a loop about this. I just go, okay, that's human nature. Move on. So in chaos magic, there's basically death of morality. So a lot of my axioms shed light in a very realistic way on the human condition, which brings the death of morality. Because everything immoral is pretty much what the church said, and we all do it anyways. So why would we need to feel guilty about it and get addicted to guilt? Oh, and live with the pain forever. The guilt, the shame, or blame other people, which is internalized guilt and shame projected outwards onto others. So, axiom number 3, creation and destruction are one and the same. You can basically say there's no such thing as duality because one creates the other, or yin and yang. Axiom number 4, karma is by thought, word, and deed. I am accountable for also. So, the law of karma is also the law of attraction, which is also the law of creation, which is also the law of destruction. So there's no way out of the law of karma. Sorry, Buddhists, it's not happening. On every level, you're accountable. Accountability is karma. So, those were some of my axioms on the fly. Another thing that just kind of came up, because I'm looking at war is sex, that is axiom number 5. Where do I get this idea of war is sex? Because there's an energy exchange. When you physically are having sex, there's body exchange, DNA and human physics. When you're having emotional exchange, it's an exchange and sharing of emotions. Something I really don't like. That's actually one of the biggest reasons why I will go to war with someone. They want to share their misery. They want to share their joy. They want to share their feelings with me. I'm like, yuck. That's a personality characteristic of me. I don't like sharing emotions. Energy at times. That's not my way of feeling close to someone. That's not my way of solidifying a bond. It's actually repulsive to me. I rather having common interests, hit me at the mental plane, please. You know, that's where we're going to have a bond. And if I feel called to be of service, is another reason why I'll be in someone's life. There'll be a momentary bond. A sense of familiarity is probably the biggest bond. But then I'll also work to destroy that. Once again, there's that destroyer God, the unnamed God within me. And so, knowing who people serve, what they're all about, can shed light on their motives. And we really want to know, instead of more about them, we want to know more about ourselves, self-mastery. So, what type of God is actually making the decisions for you? Is it a Christian God? Are you a do-gooder? Are you crossing your own personal boundaries? You know, do you believe in heaven? Do you believe in spirit world? I don't believe in any of that shit. Doesn't mean I haven't talked to my dead best friend. Doesn't mean I haven't talked to spirit world guides and gods. Doesn't mean I need to believe in the realms and the stories. So, as a destroyer, I destroy it all. So, another thing we're looking at is a dystopian society and a self-deprecating program that's been going on. And so, yeah, that's happening. You can't expect the world to be nice to you when the whole world's depressed, when the whole world feels trapped, with all this doomsday, end of the world, abusing the resources and shitting in each other's sandbox. You can't hold them to something that's not realistic. Instead, you can gain the freedom by really understanding the conditions and maybe being a part of the solution, or just at least being understanding. So I go to my unnamed God for wisdom and understanding. He doesn't live in the realm of life. I'm not a lifeist. I'm not a happy. I don't believe in that. That's gross. It's stupid. It's religion. I don't believe that. So, beliefs are very powerful. How you adopt your beliefs, which ones you choose to hold on to, and why. It's deep analytical process that when you do all the thinking now and get it done, then you don't go into crisis when you're triggered, when you feel like you need to defend yourself. You're like, oh yeah, that person like totally tried to emotionally connect with me, and I told them repeatedly, don't use the love word, I don't like that, and don't do, like, I will tell you exactly what I like and what I don't like, and I gave you the rules of the house, and if you don't choose to abide by the rules of the house, you're out. And so, and then it's done. So I've observed people who are really good at magic. One, they believe they're right, and they have no resistance directing that force towards you and blowing you away. So when we do all this thinking process, when we really understand what our values, how our beliefs were generated, what we stand for, who we are, why we're here. Why am I here? I work with this unknown God, and it's a destroyer God to purify the planet. Or not even the planet, just myself. I'm on a personal mission for myself of self-development and exploring the mysteries. So now that I know that, I don't need to be getting all offended and into other people's business. I'm kind of like a solo person on a personal mission. Great. That should eliminate a lot of problems. So probably if I entertained someone who wasn't a part of what I was going for, that's on me. So try to resolve things first within yourself so you don't have inner conflict. Be very clear with your words and your actions. Hey, please don't say I love you once a week to me. I don't like it. Once a year is enough. Just, or don't share all that with me. Let's just, like, just try to be really clear with people who you are and what you're about. Say it with your words, say it with your actions, say it with your behavior, say it with your attitude. You can really, like, demonstrate how you want to be treated in the world. If there's a problem, call the police. If there's a problem, that's why we have the law. That's, use physical resources. Use your words. Take action. Real action. Go to a real doctor. The last resort should be magic. And yeah. So decide what you're about. If you're about making $1 million, direct it about $1 million. You don't need to have enemies trying to make $1 million. Just go make your $1 million. If you want to direct it towards art, go be an artist. Do it. Direct your magical energy towards art. You don't have to make it a part of your love life. So really focus. Know why the F you're here. What you're doing with your creative power. What are your goals? What's your vision? When you have that really spelled out, look at your beliefs. Are they really in alignment? Are you just clear that discord up? Be super clear. The choices will kind of be made for you. It's like, oh yeah, I'm not going to date someone who's not magical. I'm not going to date someone who's not creative. I'm not going to be friends with people who don't respect my path. You don't have to even fucking believe in my path. But if you don't respect my path, so once again, use the word no. Shut doors. So you can do this in a very non-violent way. But if you have to get magical about it, you sure can. And you'll hit really hard because there'll be no resistance in the flow of energy. There'll be no guilt. There'll be no second guessing. It'll be a very firm bam. And they'll be like, whoa, clear. Let's wrap it up. Good luck creating your magical code of conduct. I hope this resolves a lot of things and takes a 10-pound weight off your back. And dang. Yes. I like to say don't get involved with mortals because they just don't understand.